Minister, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. First, I'd like to thank the Minister and Sture Henriksen for excellent presentations this morning. And the Norwegian maritime industry certainly has a very, very proud history, and so has this conference. As far as I know, the first conference was held in 1965. At that time, my company, Statoil, was not yet born. So compared to many of you, we are only a rookie in that perspective. For decades, our industries have conquered enormous challenges. The maritime industry and the oil and gas sector have been massive sources of value and job creation. What we deliver is vital to economic development and prosperity, and we're highly dependent on each other. Today I have been asked to speak about new energy frontiers, and especially how technology and collaboration enables success in new areas. Over the past decades, new plays have emerged. More complex resources have been discovered. New ideas on old rocks are opening great opportunities from Alaska to the east coast of Africa, from Bismarck in North Dakota to Beijing. An emerging wisdom is that these resources have the impact of significantly changing the global energy landscape. We meet at a time when the economy makes the headline. A long period of relative economic stability ended with the financial crisis a few years back. And the world economy is no longer expanding at a constant and stable rate of growth. We have been forced to adapt to a new normal, so to speak, of shifts, shocks, and crises. But I believe the oil and gas industry has an advantage in this perspective because the demand of our products continue to grow. And we're part of the very fabric of the modern civil society. And population growth and increased living standards are the two major forces that will continue to drive energy demand. But the supply picture is much more complex. We see the emergence of unconventional resources in North America. We see a continued decline in our old oil fields around the world, but also a rapid change in technology that improve recovery rates and allow the industry to develop remote fields. But right now, we also see bottlenecks in the supply chain and widespread cost inflation in the energy industry that can delay projects and their economics. For me, the bottom line, however, is that demand will continue to increase and supply will come from a variety of sources. But it's important to note that supply complexity is only part of the story in the energy industry. In 2011, the Times magazine declared The Protester as the name of the year, illustrating the rise of public activism, the Arab Spring, and public rallies following the financial crisis. In 2012, the hashtag was voted the word of the year, showing a related theme, the growing impact of social media. And shifts in politics and society are altering expectations also for big oil. We see a greater and greater concern for the protecting our environment and the health and safety of our people. Recently, we have seen a profound debate break out of the role of big business in the society. And these movements, combined with new technology and social media, have created a drive for increased transparency for big companies, including oil and gas companies. I strongly believe that our industry must engage with society in order to secure the energy supply of the future. Our license to operate must be earned through safety, operational excellence, and constructive engagement. This is not a company presentation, but in a snapshot, we are producing roughly 2 million barrels per day throughout the world today, and our aim is to produce 2.5 million barrels per day in 2020, at the back end of this decade. And we focus on 3 areas to take maximum value out of the Norwegian continental shelf, to use 40 years of offshore experience to develop offshore positions outside Norway. And then we have taken a quite significant position in unconventional resources in the UK, in the US, in Marcellus, Eagle Ford, and in Bakken, in the belief that these resources will constitute a very important energy resource into the future. In the far north and closer to our home turf, we also see a great potential. Arctic is estimated to contain a significant part of the yet-to-find oil and gas resources in the world. Some claim around 20%. And yet, the Arctic continental shelf contains some of the least explored basins in the world. Statoil has positioned itself for long-term growth throughout the Arctic, not because it's easy, but because we think it's a long-term potential. We believe in its potential. We have some unique experiences developed over many years, and we have actually a quite strong acreage positions taken over the last few years. But we don't think that Arctic is Arctic. We think about this in 3 categories. Is the workable Arctic, as we have called it, those basins we can drill and develop today with some modifications? And I think our position in the Barents Sea is a good illustration of that. The next category is what we call stretch Arctic. Those basins we can drill today, but require incremental innovation in the development and production stages. And I think our exploration plans for the Chukchi Sea and the Sea of Okhotsk in Russia fit into this category. And the final category is what we name extreme Arctic, basins for which we need radical innovation to drill or develop, such as the east coast of Greenland. Across our Arctic portfolio, we have good momentum. In Norway, we have recently sanctioned Aasta Hansteen, Goliath will come on stream, and we have made significant discovery around Johan Castberg in the Barents Sea. And we have recently, actually just a few weeks back, commenced a new exploration campaign on the Castberg license in the Barents Sea. Russia is also proceeding with their plans for Arctic offshore development, and the border settlement between Russia and Norway has created new possibilities for collaboration with our neighbors in the east. And we are cooperating with Rosneft for Russian offshore exploration. But just as we see great potential in the Arctic, we also see great complexity. The Arctic communities require special care. These are some of the most sensitive communities on the earth. The industry needs to meet these challenges proactively with the highest standards on safety and operational quality. It will take collaboration and innovation to develop Arctic offshore resources for a safe and efficient manner. Political will has opened different parts of the Arctic for energy development. But we in the industry must not mistake legal permission for permanent access. We must establish trust between communities, governments, and industry And trust can only be built on a foundation of openness, dialogue, and responsibility, and on a commitment to zero harm and sustainability. In short, the full potential of Arctic can only be unlocked through innovation, more collaborative business models, and more joint technology programs. This is the only way to reduce costs and make Arctic projects commercially viable and globally competitive, in our view. In the freezing cold of the Arctic, no one can survive for long alone. Offshore Arctic exploration and development will also put some new demands on the maritime part of the industry. Let me provide you with 3 distinct challenges of the maritime industry will face in the Arctic. First, we need to be prepared to operate in very remote areas. Communication and navigation technology that work in the south does not necessarily work in the north. Procedures for safe rescue of people with the long distances from shore to installations must be in place. Secondly, we face extreme and volatile climatic conditions and ice-filled waters. Rigs and vessels need to be equipped with technology for ice management. And finally, we need a step up in oil spill response and recovery. There is no margin for error. A spill in the Arctic could close the region for development for decades into the future and deny the world the resources it needs. Statoil is actually a heavy user of the maritime industry. Every day, 160 vessels and around 20 different types operate as part of our global activities. And we transport 3,000 shiploads of hydrocarbons each year. And in the future, we will need your capabilities and capacity even more. Statoil is committed to the development of a sustainable energy system and technology. We work together with our suppliers to limit emissions and air pollution by applying clean and efficient technologies. We participate in the joint industry project Energy Efficient Offshore Partners together with many of you, aiming at identifying opportunities of increased energy efficiency. Through close collaboration with ship owners, Statoil has been a pioneer in LNG-driven vessels. 10 years ago, Eidsvik and Møgster developed the world's 2 first LNG-fueled supply vessels to Statoil. And in 2011, the world's first dual-fueled LNG product tanker, Viking, came into operation through a joint project between Statoil and the Swedish Tarbit Shipping. And this week, actually, we signed a contract with Bergen Tankers to convert Bergen Viking into the world's first 100% LNG-fueled product tanker. And also importantly, through the program working safely with our suppliers, Statoil works closely with the industry to improve our safety performance. Finally, we recognize that we are in the midst of a challenging decade for offshore shipping. Meanwhile, within our offshore segments, we see a cost level that is too high. The times are calling for stronger partnership and increased efficiency throughout the value chain. I can assure you that increased efficiency is also very high on my agenda in Statoil, and we have many ongoing initiatives to increase our competitiveness. And we expect all our partners to have the same focus. In closing, for almost 50 years, the maritime industry has met at Nordshipping to discuss opportunities and challenges. While the industry topics have changed, the common themes remain the same. The best opportunities are captured and the toughest challenges are met through competence, technology, and collaboration. And Statoil is looking forward to continue our strong collaboration with the offshore and maritime industry altogether. So thank you for the attention this morning.